directly down to citizens' comment. Mr. Alan Shulman, no Mr. Ship, and Mr. Tommy Williams. And today we have an executive session, so we're going to have the council comments first before the executive session.
Mr. Williams said he had about 30 minutes he wanted to talk.
Well, I said it, my 3-minute presentation might take me 30 minutes. I just can't get it out anymore. And I think organizers' thoughts at 80, as an aside, it's not important at all. But at 81 years old, this very day, 81 years ago, October 16th, 1937, I came into this world in Meridian, Mississippi.
Happy birthday. Oh, happy birthday. Thank you, Mr. Reed.
I am awfully blessed to still be here, period, let alone trying to do some of these things. I wanted to address, as I told you in my submission for approval, the pay bands, payrolls, compensation costs that the city at this point seems to be a major problem. I have considerable experience with employees. I was fortunate enough to build a successful business, and from 28 years, beginning in '67, which I sold in 1995. And at the time that I sold, I had 200 employees. Now, what's the connection in a private business, 200 employees, in the city of Meridian, a municipality with 500 or 600 employees? Primarily, the employer, whether it is me as a private employer or the city as the employer of citizens who work for the city, we both have the responsibility for those employees. Mine went to work for me on their own free will, and they frankly were hired almost one at a time and went through certain qualification processes and reviews annually, every 6 months and annually, and were approved for increases or whatever during that period. The mayors, as being responsible for the city of Meridian's employees, inherited them all at one time, 500 or 600. I've heard both figures, I'm not sure which it is, but somewhere in that range. So, we both have the same responsibility for those employees' compensation, benefits, and equal and fair treatment. The mayor's responsibility, besides to the employees, is to the citizens of Meridian to use those employees for the benefit of the city and to produce services to citizens to the best of his ability. So effectively, he has a fiduciary and a moral responsibility to both the citizens and to the employees. Regarding my employees, my primary responsibility, not to the citizens, but frankly was to my bankers, because in building the company, I borrowed a lot of money. I had to produce certified financial statements every year, and I had to satisfy my bankers that my financial statements showed the ability of my company to pay off the loans, to manage the cost of the company and the employees. Now, what's going on here in Meridian with this problem with the pay bands, the employees being unhappy and appearing to be directed their unhappiness at the city council? Frankly, it is not the problem of the city council to manage the employees and their costs to the city. It's the mayor's responsibility. The mayor as I understand it, in his administration from 2015, by all that I have heard, the evidence reported is that $4 million has been added to the cost of employees to the city of Meridian since 2015, when there was virtually no increase in revenue. I don't know how you do that. Now, I do understand that $1.8 million went to the cost, extra compensation for the firemen and the policemen, which everybody seemed to agree with was necessary. But that money still had to come from somewhere. It wasn't created out of whole cloth. If there was no extra revenue, where did it come from? And then there's the $2.2 million that was paid to other employees. Where did that come from? And perhaps the mayor at another time and place can answer this, or today, it doesn't matter. Point is,
Okay, Mr. Conley, I had to cut this short here.
30 seconds.
I give you 30 more seconds.
Thank you. The point is, and it's my opinion based on all the evidence I've seen, that the mayor has failed miserably in his responsibility to the citizens and to the employees. And he should not be directing the solution for that failure to the city council. You don't have the authority, you don't have the knowledge he needs to get into those employees, determine who's needed, how much he can afford to pay, and pay the right people the right amount. Thank you.
Thank you.
Before we move to that, there's an item that I thought we were going to add to the claims docket concerning modern landscaping. I don't know at this point, we need that. I don't know the feeling of the council. I think we need to go ahead and pay the man his money.
Well, following the submission of the additional documents I provided last week, we still haven't received any report from the city attorneys after they've had a chance to look at that. So I think we should at least wait on some sort of report.
The documents did not produce any, they have no relevance to this. The state auditor had received a complaint, and they've never notified anyone that their investigation went anywhere. So at this point, it's really just a contract issue, whether the city council wants to pay or we can defend it in court.
So in your opinion, it's legal to pay it?
It would probably cost the city more to defend it in court and have to pay interest and possible attorney's fees.
I would like to, I asked that if community development, my request was that community development give us their opinion, since it's their department that would have handled that. And if there was any research on the information that Councilman Linderman had presented, or we could just wait till the next agenda to add this item.
We have been meeting on this item, but due to potential pending litigation on it, we asked to discuss it in executive session, should the council choose. And that is if the attorney agrees. We can add it.
So,
No action.
no action.
Okay. Matt?
Okay. All right, so moving to council report. Council comments.
I got a message yesterday evening from, well, I assume it's a friend. I didn't have their number saved in my phone, but they just sent me a link to a YouTube video. It was two professionals. They were suited up, had briefcase in hand, and they were headed up an escalator, and then the escalator broke. And so instead of, doing the obvious and taking the appropriate steps forward to reach the top of the escalator, utilizing it as stairs, they instead waited and called for help, waiting on someone to come in and fix it. And I feel that it's extremely applicable to our current situation, because while we're dealing with this pay band issue, we're in a similar situation where we can either wait on the broken escalator and call for help and hope that the administration will clean this up, and treat all employees fairly, and have an equitable evaluation system that works for everyone in a way that's appropriate and fair and reasonable and based on merit and not any sort of favoritism. Or we could take appropriate action ourselves if at the end of the next couple of months, when we've set that January 1 deadline, if no reasonable action has been taken by the administration. And so I just found it was a very applicable metaphor to what we're facing right now as a city as a whole. We could either, as a council, wait on the escalator to be fixed, or we could take a few steps forward and reach our goal anyways. And with that, I want to add a sort of ultimatum that, to me, from my perspective, I don't think we should consider any sort of pay band adjustments until we're presented with a legitimate evaluation plan that includes employees having the ability to evaluate their supervisor's evaluation of them. So for instance, if you have a supervisor who evaluates an employee, that employee should be able to say if they disagree with the evaluation. This way, we prevent any sort of situation where supervisors and department heads who serve at the will and pleasure of the mayor are put in a position where arm twisting or whatever you want to call it occurs, and they have to do what they're told. And so by empowering the employees to at least have the opportunity to evaluate the evaluations that they receive, and then flag any inconsistencies. So, for example, if you've got an employee that disagrees completely with the evaluation they receive, there should be some sort of system in place as to where that ends up next. Those evaluations should be sent to us, or they should be sent to civil service. There should be some sort of equitable, fair system in place. And so that's the sort of ultimatum that I would like to deliver to the administration, and hope that the council agrees with that sort of sentiment, that we should not even consider a pay band adjustment until we're presented with a legitimate solution to these problems that we did not create. And I have no problem with batting cleanup for the next 2.5 years, but I'd prefer that we could all stay on our appropriate sides as executive and legislative, and so that we don't continue to have these situations. But in order to get there, in order to begin to establish trust, it's got to start with a fair and reasonable plan being presented that would solve this issue once and for all. And if you're not going to do that, then we're just going to have to take those steps for ourselves. And that's just the way I see the issue. And whoever thought it was a good idea to grab the recording device, by the way, on the podium, that is not yours, so please return it. It's not mine either. But because of the pretty poor effort at live streaming the council meetings that the city puts on its webpage and occasionally deletes whenever things don't appear to be going your way, I've had to pay someone else to come and film the council meetings, and that recorder belongs to them. So please return that before the end of this meeting. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Glad to see everybody out. I agree that we do need to have an evaluation process. I've said that just so we can be fair for all individuals, and some of the things that we've heard since all of this stuff has happened, the morale is getting tough. So that is something I think that we all have talked about. I think it's in the study that there's evaluations, and I think the HR person did mention about there are some evaluations in place. Now, whether or not those things are happening, that's definitely something I think we need to address in the upcoming work session. But I wanted to just encourage the community, those who are watching via live or whatever, our school district really needs our support. I'm sure everybody is familiar with the scores and all that stuff that's come out, and the district theme this year is excellent. Excellence begins with me. We have mentoring programs. I know that Councilman Johnson, he does a lot, Fanny does, and Mr. Linderman. I'm asking the community to get involved and volunteer. If you can just pick one day out of the week. I've started back going to Oakland Heights, just opening car doors and giving the kids high five, just trying to build them up, because there's so much negative stuff being said about Meridian Public School District and our children. Our children can learn. They can do, they're just as good as Madison School District. But the difference is the community involvement, parental involvement, people just taking these babies under our wings and loving on them and letting them know that there is greatness inside of them. I'm going to be kicking off an initiative called Manpower in the next month or so, and I want to begin with our city leaders and asking every man that can to volunteer for at least 1 hour, 1 day a week. And you don't have to read unless you want to. You don't have to do anything awesome, but just provide a presence in the classroom. Some of our students, because they're not exposed to men in the home, sometimes when they are in the classroom, they tend to straighten up a little bit. And so it's a Manpower initiative that we're kicking off, and I wanted to begin here and ask our men of the city, our city leaders, to get involved with this initiative, and I'll give you more information later. But we do need ladies, gentlemen, we need volunteers. If it's opening car doors, if it's reading, parents, if you have children, try to read at least 20 minutes a day with your child. It doesn't have to necessarily be a book. It can be a magazine. It can be the box, the back of the Fruit Loop box. I mean, just anything. Be creative and expose our children to more, because it is still my philosophy that if Meridian Public School District does not succeed, our city is going to be in trouble. So I'm asking you all to grab hold of this school district thing, that excellence begins with me. That's me, that's you. And let's see what we can do to try to be the cheerleaders for our students and help them reach another level, because we can do that. Thank you all for coming.
Thursday night is Buds and Burgers again. Please come out. Down by the train station, Singing Brakeman Park, you can get about 20 tastes of burgers for about $10. And that comes to Love's Kitchen. Friday night, there is a Rails to Reels at the Max Laura. And the preview is going to be the films that the children made a couple of months ago that a lot of us are in. And that's going to be the preview from 4:30 for a little reception, and then 5:30 to 6:30 will be that film that our children made. They did it in Jackson and had a great turnout. I want to thank the entire community, the program at the kitchen. We've gotten, I think 13 people showed up for the job fair. One has been hired and is working. We've helped one of the homeless guys get into a shelter. We are proving that Meridian did come together for our homeless population, and whether a lot of them come through or not, Meridian can say that they have a place for the homeless population to come, be in and out. If they want resources, they can get them. If they don't, they don't have to. So I want to say, and I don't use the word proud a lot, but I'm proud of this community for coming together and making sure that we do show the least of them that we cared about them. Thank you.
You mentioned about Planet Playground. The whole community's come together to try to provide a playground that's accessible to all people. If you're in a wheelchair, your crutches, whatever, any age group. Been working on this for a couple of years now. The Community Foundation has agreed to hold the money till we get to that point. The administration has been a leader in putting these things together, and like the mayor said, we have a day to take some of the pieces apart. They're not destroying those pieces, they're going to store those pieces. A local business has agreed to do that. One of the local civic clubs has agreed to match donations, I think up to $10,000. They'll match any $100 donation. So if you're looking for some way for Thanksgiving or Christmas or Hanukkah or whatever holiday you support, $100 donated to that project would be matched by another $100. Kim talked about the children in the community being good. 2 young men who play football in one of the local schools have gone out and raised, I think, by last count, close to $50,000. William Lamar and Jake Davidson have taken this on as a project. They're both teenagers. They have a lot going on in their life, playing ball and doing Boy Scouts and a lot of other things. They've decided to help this community. When we talk about helping the schools and everything else, we can get a few more people to just halfway duplicate what 2 teenagers in this community have done. We could accomplish a lot. To think that 2 teenagers can go out and raise approximately $50,000 to help in a project like this that will benefit all of the people in this community, whether or not they're agile or physically able to do it. So there are a lot of good things going on. Sometimes I think we concentrate so much on the problems, we don't spend enough time on the solutions. But I think these 2 young men in particular, William Lamar also previously put together a project for doing tiles that'll be put out there. If you've been out there, some of you remember when we put that playground together, where children could put their name on a tile and that type of thing. So he's done double duty on this thing. So again, there are opportunities out there. A lot of people say they don't have time. If you think you can go to high school and maintain excellent grades, play football, play soccer, be active in the Boy Scouts, and still raise $50,000 in a community, you have time. It's just a matter of where you want to spend the time. And again, if you're interested in this, you can contact the administration here. The county is also cooperating with this. Or you can just make a donation straight to the Community Foundation on behalf of the Planted Playground.
Quickly want to say that we are the city of Meridian, even though it's the administration, city council, public workers, recreations, it doesn't matter. We all fall under that umbrella of the city of Meridian. So if we try to make one look bad, we all gonna look bad. I got a few things here. Number one, scores did come back, pick up backing off what Ms. Kim said. Magnolia Middle School is known as a successful school. They received a good grade on that, thanks to Ms. Angela McCorley and Mr. Sherrod Miller. They do a great job over there. Number two, we have great things going on over here at the Belton Young Community Center. They got GED classes, a class called Afro Science, where they use African dancing and exercise at the same time. Paint your feelings, use your emotions, paint. So there's a lot of programs going on with the Belton Young Center. So I encourage you guys to just come over there, take a look at or be involved in what we have going on over there. Halloween Festival, again, it's going to be October the 26th from 5 to 8 p.m. I partner with NAS Meridian and Caroline's to bring this event over to the Belton Young area. So we're going to have the haunted house, the movie playing on the back with the projector, music, candy giveaways, face paintings, and more. Community-wide meeting, I'm gonna have this in November. I had a date, but I just realized that it's gonna be Veterans Day, so I changed it. So I give you guys a date, an update on that. I've been researching ways, I've been speaking with the mayor about the swimming pool, because I know we're gonna have something come up next year, but my vision is, and I don't know if this will get done, but this is just a vision. It's okay to dream big. But my vision is I wanted to make this an indoor pool facility, and that way we can bring a new sport to the community for the youth. I think it'll change a lot of lives. As if you guys go over there to the Belton Young Park now, we changing the quality of life for a lot of the citizens in that area. So it's being used. They're very excited about the progress that's being made. Elmwood Cemetery, we're gonna have a cleanup this Saturday at 9 o'clock a.m. It's on 10th Avenue and 24th Street. And I have something here that I kind of want to read to you guys real quick. I have, it says, World War I, also known as First World War or the Great War. It was a it was a global or originated from Europe. Last on July 28 from 1914 to the 11th of 1918. Contemporaneously described as the war to end all wars, and it led to the mobilization of more than 70 million personnel, including 60 million Europeans, making it one of the largest wars in history. But this is where I wanted you to pay attention to here. An estimated 9 million combatants and 7 million civilians died as a result of that war. And the reason I read that is because out of the 9 million combatants that died in that war, we have at least 24 at Elmwood Cemetery. And that is why I'm very vocal and I'm trying to get this cemetery cleaned up. So hopefully in the near future we can do things to be able to keep this cemetery cleaned up. But we do have a lot of people in the community that's coming out and supporting this cause. I think it should be a landmark because there's a lot of African American men who fought in the war who's buried there, and I think we should do something. It's been an eyesore for roughly 5 decades in this community, so it's time that we should do something about that. Moving on to the next thing, well, that's all I have, so.
I want to say something.
Okay.
I had a very special server/dishwasher in the kitchen today, and I would like to thank President Johnson for stopping by the kitchen and helping out today.
Oh, yes, ma'am, you're welcome, yes, ma'am.
Mayor, could you mention about Halloween and who wear a mask? Maybe the police chief and he get off the phone? That's a teenager.
12 years and under are allowed to wear a mask.
Right.
You know that they're violating city ordinance. We do allow trick-or-treaters to be out at 9. We prefer 8, but they are allowed to be out at 9 o'clock. We recommend that they're bright clothing accompanied by an adult without a mask. And ask the parents to inspect any tricks or treats that they get. Yes, we are doing Halloween night.
Okay, we get a lot of calls from that.
It is occurring on Halloween night.
And we're going to send something out to all the media about the times and the mask, I
We
assume.
will definitely take care of that.
Very good. Because a lot of people forget. They may think that it's cute to be 20 years old and wear a mask and knock on somebody's door at 8 o'clock at night. That's not a good idea.
And you always want to mount their lights on, right?
We recommend that the people that are giving the treats, whatever, make sure their front porch light is on. If the front porch light is not on, then we don't recommend knocking on the door.
Dr. Thomas, we are doing candy crawl next Tuesday as well, 4:30 to 6:30 downtown businesses in City Hall.
Good. You would get
Candy crawl Tuesday,
Yes,
at what time?
4:30 until 6:30.
That's a good, safe place rather than dropping your children off in some neighborhood that you don't live in.
Okay, so I move that we go into executive session to discuss economic development and determination.
George?
Yeah, you word up pretty good. See how you gonna do it.
Move that we go into closed determination to determine whether or not to stay in executive session concerning possible economic development and also payment of a charge to a local business.
Pending resolution.
Second. All in favor? Aye. Any nays? All right.